Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. I hope you're all having a great day. Today we are going to be talking about a subject that I absolutely love, and that is boomer shooters. Now if you're not sure what a boomer shooter is, basically that's shorthand for retro 90s style FPS games. I'm talking games like Doom, games like Quake, Unreal Tournament, Blood, and Hexen. That era had so many cool FPS games, and thankfully there are a myriad of titles that have been produced by fans of that genre. And so I want to talk today about my favorite ones and some of the ones that I think you would enjoy the most on Steam Deck. Let's go ahead and get right into it. Starting off with my first pick, it has to be Forgive Me Father. Now this, for me, is actually a newer one. I had never played this until last week, but I am absolutely in love with this game. It takes a comic book art style, kind of reminiscent of Hellboy, Mike Mignola, and then it also takes the very fast-paced Doom Quake style of boomer shooters, and it combines it with Lovecraft, which, like, those three things in and of itself I love individually, but put them all together and you have Forgive Me Father, which is a recipe for just an incredible experience. Not only are the visuals and the sound effects and the atmosphere very, very compelling in this game, but you have that fantastic gunplay. You've got wonderful bouts of gore. I think one thing that kind of goes unspoken in some games is that boomer shooters are known for having just visceral combat, and Forgive Me Father is no different. It has fantastic enemy design, and it's got really unique weapons. There's kind of an actual weapon tree, or a skill tree if you will, for the more points that you get when you level up. You can actually take different paths that affect you in different ways. So I mean, it's got a lot of things going for it, and all in all I actually think it's one of the more content rich boomer shooters, just for the amount of replayability it has with that skill tree, with an endless mode. And there's actually two different characters you can play as well, which is kind of different for the genre. Normally you only play as one. I picked it up for like $12 recently, and I believe it is still on sale now, so I would absolutely give it a shot. All in all, perfect combination of horror, Lovecraft, comic books, and boomer shooters. It's fantastic. Next, we're going to move on to a game I absolutely love, but all of the gameplay footage you are going to see in this is from one of my good buddies, Brother Near 2.0. He is an absolute beast at this game, and this game, of course, is Ultra Kill. By the way, before I speak any more about Ultra Kill, if you are interested in any of the goings-ons over on his channel, I will leave a link below, and it should be a little card that you can click to go check him out. Big thanks, Near, for letting me use some of your footage. As you can probably tell from the footage I'm using, this game is incredibly fast, and it is very, very skill-based, which is one of the big appeals for this type of game. One of the fantastic things about Ultra Kill is it has a very Doom Eternal style, in the sense that, you know, you can melee to get more health, and it's obviously got that speed. But one of the great things about Ultra Kill is you have very creative ways to take out your enemy, and all of your weapons have a sub-fire that actually creates these scenarios for you to try and kill in different, more creative ways. Largely, one of the big things that it adds that something like Doom doesn't really have is a style meter. Now, I personally used to never care about style meters until you actually play that one game that you get pretty decent with the style meter, and you get to see how things ebb and flow on it. And Ultra Kill is one of those perfect examples of two things that don't really seem like they should go great together, but then because of the creativity of the weapons, because of your skill and trying to blend those two things together, Ultra Kill makes for an incredible experience that will not only put you to the test, but it is absolutely blistering fast and so much fun when you can finally get down to that Ultra Kill rank, and then you realize that there are just all these different things you can do to get to that rank quicker. Oh, it becomes so much fun. All in all, Ultra Kill is a big recommendation from not only me, but Near as well. He's put well over 100 hours in the game just replaying and getting better at it, and honestly, I think it's one of the best shooters you could possibly get on Steam Deck. Next on the list is an essential pick if you're ever talking about retro-inspired FPS games, and that, of course, is Dusk. I don't believe that Dusk is the specific game to credit for the revival of this genre, but I think it certainly plays a big part in helping create this welcome comeback to the genre. Dusk in a lot of ways kind of feels like the perfection of Quake that maybe we didn't know we wanted, and by that I mean that it feels like Quake refined. A lot of the mechanics and a lot of the movement and feeling of the weapons come over from Quake, but they all have their own really unique style. Obviously you have different weapons, but they all feel like they're very grounded in that original Quake style. My favorite thing about the game is actually its setting, because it has so many different inspirations from horror movies like slashers. You've got things like cornfields, you've got like Cthulhu-esque churches. It takes a lot of inspiration from so many different horror elements, and as a big horror fan myself, I find it to be very refreshing, and I really wish more games would take inspiration from what Dusk did just from an artistic perspective. Atmosphere aside though, the gameplay is just superb. It's blistering fast, as most of these games are, but it has a very cool flair and style to it. Each weapon you pick up feels significant, and by the time you've picked up all the weapons, you feel like the ultimate badass. You just have so much you can do, and there's so many different little secrets and things you can discover in each level. Honestly, Dusk is just the perfect realization of what a retro-inspired shooter can be in 2023. And in a lot of ways, I think it's kind of a gold standard for many to look at when they're making a game like this. Dusk is a must-have. Our penultimate pick on this list has to go to Turbo Overkill. Now, I was kind of struggling whether or not I wanted to add this, but honestly, the more and more that I think about this game, the more that I've played this game, I absolutely adore it, and I don't think there's any way I could make a list like this and not put this game on there. Turbo Overkill is what happens when you take Doom Eternal, Blade Runner, and combine it with some of the absolute fastest, grittiest, and most visceral combat you've ever seen, and it creates this really crazy cool cyberpunk shooter. And honestly, it's just so impressive to me at how quick this game moves. Like, I know I said Ultra Kill moves fast, and it does, but Turbo Overkill, there are times where I can barely see the enemy on the screen because I'm moving that fast. Now, that being said, it doesn't make it not fun. What that means is you just have to be able to adapt, and you have to be able to know what to expect from your enemies, from the placement of your enemies, and also just how to use all of the different weapons. One thing I think that's really cool and unique about it is instead of giving you a melee attack, you basically get your melee attack by crouching and sliding because you have a chainsaw leg. It's just very cool. There's so many different things that will increase the replayability of it, thanks to augmentations. There are just so many cool things about Turbo Overkill. And the soundtrack, by the way, I know I didn't mention this for any of the other games, but the soundtracks on all these games are phenomenal. And Turbo Overkill is not one to look past either. So yes, I definitely recommend Turbo Overkill. You should definitely give it a shot, especially if you like any of the things I just said and if any of the genres I mentioned sound appealing. Last, but absolutely not least, I have my favorite, and my personal favorite, out of all of these boomer shooters. It has to go to Proteus. Proteus is, for me, the perfect realization of extremely violent, visceral combat mixed with a perfect speed that doesn't feel too fast, it doesn't feel too slow. I think it has a perfect selection of weapons. It has a very good sense of how to use them and spread them out and force you into different combat scenarios. On top of all that, I think the game has a really unique and interesting feel. And then before we even stop talking about the campaign, there is literally a whole map maker where you can literally create or play other people's maps. This game not only has an absolutely huge campaign, but it's got a ton of things to come back and look for, secrets, a bunch of unlockables via a store, and then on top of all of that, it has a killer soundtrack. The game looks incredible. It's this wonderful blend of 3D pixel art with a fully 3D world, and you can actually customize it to actually put it like a CRT screen and everything over it. It has so many cool options that I think I would be remiss if I didn't put this as my number one pick for any shooter. If you have to pick one, I would pick Proteus just because you have so much to work with and you have so many different options. But those are just my picks. I know there are a ton of boomer shooters out there. I would love to know from you guys, what are some shooters that you would personally put on the list? I know some big popular ones are Project Warlock, Ion Fury. I do like those games a lot, but for me, these are sort of my major picks. So yeah, feel free to comment below and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching to the end of this video. If you enjoyed this concept, please consider liking and subscribing. Other than that, everybody, please have a great and safe day and take care of yourselves.